Welcome to the Vault podcast and reviews where music still matters. You can check out everything we're doing at facebook.com/thevaultrvws, youtube.com/c/thevaultreviews. We're on Stitcher, at The Vault Music 1 for Twitter, at The Vault Reviews on Instagram, and send us anything you feel like sending us, thevaultmusic1@gmail.com. And welcome back for another review from The Vault. Robbie's joining us once again today, and of course we're going to have him if we're talking rap or hip-hop or funk or R&B, because that's right in his wheelhouse, isn't it?
Yep, absolutely.
All right, so today we're going back to the 90s. That's probably our favorite era of this music, I would say, and that's going to be Bone Thugs and Harmony, Creepin' on a Come Up, a 1994 release. Yes, that's going way back.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, though, don't forget, you can check us out, Stitcher, YouTube, Podomatic, like, subscribe, share, and check us out all over social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Hopefully we'll have this up on iTunes at some point. And you can check out the Facebook page. We have a Shop Now tab. You can donate money monetarily. We can send you stickers and T-shirts for donations of $3 to $10 and higher. But enough of that. We'll get to more of that later, I'm sure, because I like to get in cheap plugs. So, Robbie, just give us an overall take of Bone at this time in their career.
Well, this is their first album, Creepin' to Come Up in 94.
Well, hold on. Did you see they had another one, Faces of Death?
Yeah, and that's when they went by, there was Leatherface.
Yeah, something. And if you go to actually, have you looked up the prices of it?
It's outrageous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's back before they were Bone Thugs and Harmony. But yeah, so I mean, that's obviously going to be a little bit, that's probably really raw, honestly, if you go back and listen to it. I bet it's super gangster.
Yep, I love that stuff too.
Because, I mean, this album is super gangster. So in 94, I mean, they're out of Cleveland. So first off, you don't have very many rappers out of Cleveland, period, even now. So, they're kind of originators in their area and all around. I mean, they were kind of like the first wave of speed rappers. I don't even know if Twista and the Speed Knot Mobsters and stuff were around quite at this current time, in 94.
Was Tech Nine doing anything at this point?
Nothing really notable. Nothing that I could name off the top of my head really that I'd be like, oh man, that's something you definitely need to check out. Nothing like I would with this album. That's for sure,
So first thing that I noticed, right off the bat, produced and released on Ruthless Records, which is owned by Eazy-E, for those who don't know. This is kind of in the time before the internet where you see a name that's associated with a group, and if you like that, you go check that out. Robbie, I'm sure you remember back in the day when that used to be the thing. You'd always read all the liner notes and the thank yous and everything and see what other bands are associated with us, so you could go check them out.
Oh yeah, 100%. That was basically Spotify for me at that time. I promote the hell out of Spotify just because I use it so often. But I mean, that's how I found out about music, just like I use that for finding out about music now.
And for me, it's YouTube. That's how I find new stuff. And I'm I guess old for wanting to do it, but I still love buying physical music. And I'll find something on YouTube I like, and I usually don't download anything unless, like Robbie, all your stuff is put out for free. Where can they find that at?
At soundcloud.com/RobNoxious421.
Bam, there you go. So all that stuff is free right now, and I'll go check out artists that put out free stuff like that. But if it is available to buy and I like it on YouTube, I will eventually buy it. So back on the topic for this review. One thing that's interesting, too, is this is an EP, which is very rare to see in rap and hip-hop. I think one of the Blaze albums, like his first album on Psychopathic maybe, was kind of an EP, but most of the time when you see rap and hip-hop, it's 20 tracks or something.
Yeah, at least 15, right around there or something. This one was kind of short, but, they definitely come correct through the entire album, so it was.
So we'll just kick it off with tracks 1 and 2. They're kind of just set a mood, an intro. Eazy-E does the intro with the sweet voice effect that was apparently supposed to be scary in the 90s. Yeah. And then Mr. Ouija just kind of shows the vocal abilities of the group. So what'd you think of those first 2 opening tracks?
Great. They're super cool. I mean, it sets kind of like an evil, almost dark demonic presence for the album, which they kind of carry on for a little while. But they're super cool intro. The Mr. Ouija, of course. I mean, it's it's pretty awesome, you know. I really enjoyed it.
Do you have any idea, like, was this and you may not know, but was this a direction that Eazy-E was maybe kind of directing them? Because, like, when you kind of look back at Eazy-E stuff, there was, you know, there was a lot of, like, killing and stuff talked about, but not stuff this dark as far as, like, the imagery and stuff.
I mean, I don't know 100%. I would assume so, just because they were like, I mean, they're the only notable group off of Ruthless that I can think of, besides, you know, NWA's first things came off of Ruthless. But yeah, I mean, so I would assume that he had a lot of direction for him at that point, and I don't know why he was leading them in such a dark way, but I kind of dig it. So, especially
just kind of makes you like wish, like if Eazy was still alive, what he would have ended up doing, you know?
Yeah, dude, there's no telling.
So first track, and probably the most memorable track on this album that people would know, is Ruggish Thuggish Bone, and I think it's one of the best rap songs ever. I'm not gonna lie.
It is. It's definitely, you know, top 3 for sure.
All time.
And I mean, just the way they open it, you know, we're not against rap, we're not against rappers, but you know, it brings into the song great. And then they just jump right in and kill it. You know, I mean, they come hard on everything. So I mean, that's definitely a great song there.
And the music is hard, and believe it or not, the female vocal placement is perfect through this whole thing. And there's another song later on we'll get to, which it kind of did the same thing. And I know a lot of people that don't like any kind of music with, you know, kind of the sporadic female vocals, because they think it kind of not really drags it down, but makes it not so hard. You know, it kind of gives it a softer, like, R&B edge or something. But I don't think that's the case at all in these two songs.
Definitely not. And I don't know who she is. I just know that her name is Tasha. Just based off of that one song where she unnecessarily sings her name for like 6 seconds.
I want to say, I may be wrong on this, but you remember Mo Thugs?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I think she may have ended up being a part of that group, that super group, sort of, or whatever. But I think I may have read that somewhere. I may be wrong, but
no, I could see that, because they definitely had a female or two in their group, and I never saw her really do much anything else unless she went by a different name, and I just never picked it up, you know.
So right off the bat, also lyrical gymnastics is what I call it. The entire album, just the speed and the flow of everything. This was one of my first experiences, and you said it. They may have been the first speed rappers, but this was my first experience with just the style and the harmonies. I mean, you don't hear that in rap ever, especially, you know, even today, unless it's the auto-tune garbage. But,
and that's not harmonizing. You know?
Well, yeah, no kidding.
But I love it. I always, even in like our genre talk, I brought up that if Bone Thugs if Boyz II Men was gangster, they would be Bone Thugs and Harmony. Like, I mean, they sing, they have great harmonies. They're quick on their raps. Their beats are real slow. So hearing somebody rap that fast over such a slow beat is awesome, in my opinion. You know, I absolutely love it. So
the other song I was thinking of, For the Love of Money, that's the one that had the other female vocals placed on it, and it starts off and you're kind of like, they tried to do like some R&B stuff here or something, but it ends up being a pretty awesome song. And what else did you like about the album?
Well, I was gonna say, keep in mind too, I mean, this is 1994, so I mean, when they brought this with the rap and the female vocals on it, I mean, that was pretty new as far as what was going on in hip hop at that point. But I would have to say my favorite song on this album is No Surrender. It is just so gangster, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole album is, but that song in particular just really grabs me up. He's got Flesh has got a line in it that's like, putting me on my knees, tell me moving I'm dead, because I'm killing all you bitches, turning the blue suits red. I mean, that's like, dude, they're talking about killing cops and slinging cocaine, and I mean, that's just the epitome of early 90s gangster rap, you know, and I love it.
And it was brought with an aggressive tone too. It's not like a lot of the stuff today, like if they're talking about maybe some edgier stuff like that, it's kind of, I don't know, like some of the guys sound Disney to me, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. They're soft. They're not real gangsters, man. Bone Thugs, and from everything that I could tell, I mean, they were 100% real gangsters. It sounds like Eazy-E pulled them right off the street and put them in the studio.
Well, and even if a lot of the modern day guys are, I mean, I know there are going to be some, and Project Pat right off the bat comes to mind, but there are, you know, if they're talking about it and they're living it, that's cool. But, you know, if that's the case, they I would think they would need to make it a little bit more believable instead of making audio working wrestling punches, so to speak.
Exactly. I mean, because otherwise you'd think they'd go back to their hood and they would get shot or something, because these dudes are going to be like, man, I heard you on the radio being all soft and, singing with auto-tune.
Yeah.
But that's just how times have changed since 1994 as far as like what gangster music is. And that's why I love the early 90s stuff so much. And both of our number 3 of all time favorite rappers was Bone,
Yep.
So I mean, that if that doesn't give this album some credit, then I don't know what does.
And pretty much everything that spawned, when they broke up and they went their separate ways to do solo stuff and do stuff with other groups, it was all great too.
Yeah, it really was. Busy Bone, had he did that song when Thugs Cry, so I mean that he started getting a little softish around that time.
It still wasn't awful though.
No, it was still really good. Yeah, I mean they didn't all have successful solo careers, I wouldn't say, but to me, I mean they're together they're untouchable. I mean they put out 4 albums that were all just great from beginning to end, and this being the start of that, and I mean there's not a single song on here that I do not like. I could listen to the entire album from beginning to end and never skip a single song. It's all awesome. I was pumped that we got to do this album. It's one of my favorites. So
this may be kind of a difficult thing. What negatives do you have about it?
That is kind of a difficult thing. Damn, I don't know. I can't think of anything negative about the entire album. The very last song on it's called Mo Cheese. It was just kind of like an instrumental, so maybe they didn't rap on it, so that's a negative. But then you got that Tasha girl singing on it, so that the last song, I guess, I could say would be one negative about it. They didn't really rap on it much. She kind of sings on it a little bit. The beat's still real good. It's still dope. It's slow. It's chill. But really, I mean, other than that, man, I can't think of anything negative about this album. I mean, this time period of gangster rap is where my love lies.
My only negative about it is it was too short.
Exactly. I mean,
and not the rapper.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not used to seeing any rap that's in the EP format. It's usually 15 to 25 songs with maybe skits or whatever thrown in. But this was pretty much all music, other than the intro, really, because Mr. Ouija technically still is a song, even though there was no music.
I mean, they're still singing it. There's snaps.
Yeah.
They kind of add it sounds like they could have been doing that on the street, out by themselves with nobody. And maybe that's why this album is so short, because Eazy-E was like, well, let's see if it really plays out, like if people are going to latch onto this and actually like it. And
which is what
worked out for them.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of bands used to do. And I mean, there are still groups that of all different genres that will put out EPs. In fact, there was a really popular Cam. Do you know who she is? She's like one of the newer country artists.
I don't think so.
She actually had an EP come out, and I sent her a tweet on Twitter because I was trying to track down a physical copy. There are none. It's all digital. But it was only like 5 songs.
Right.
So, I mean, people still do it because, why produce an entire album if people aren't going to dig it? So just put out a handful of songs. And that's what they did here. And it definitely set off a career for these guys.
Well, for sure, because their next album had 18 songs on it, something like that, I believe. And it was, it had 17 songs on it, sorry. But it was an amazing album, too. And it came out the same year. I mean, it was like back-to-back albums like that,
So jumping into the final verdict, 1 star being the worst, 5 star being the best on the Vault star rating system. What do you give this?
It's hard for me when I throw a 5 at something. This being my second album review we've done, but I'd have to at least give this album a 4.5 to give myself a little bit of wiggle room,
Which, by the way, I don't know if I've ever spoke about this on our reviews. Like a 5 star has got to be you absolutely love every single track, and you could listen to it on repeat for hours. So that I would say that almost fits the bill. But
I was gonna say that's I'll go ahead and give it a 4.5, just because, like you said, it was a little short. So I mean, I wouldn't want to necessarily listen to it repeatedly back to back because you'd get burnt out on the 6 songs that you get to listen to.
And that's my knock on it. I'm going to give it a 4. And the only reason I couldn't give it 5 is because it was so short.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is even like the songs on this are some of their best work, even better than their later stuff. But it's just so short. I mean, there's like 3 legitimate songs, and then Mr. Ouija, if you want to count that. So
Yeah.
a little disappointing. Can't give it any higher than a 4, but that's still super solid. So our average score is 4 1/4. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean that's a great score for an album. And actually, I'm looking here, and this album came out November 30th, 1993, and Eternal 1999 came out November 30th, 94. So I mean they were exactly a year apart.
There you go. All right. Anything else on this album before we head out?
No, man, it's awesome. Everybody should listen to it if you haven't already. I know it's old, but listen to it.
Hey, we love the old stuff around here. Finding new music to you that's old is just as exciting as finding new bands, in my opinion.
Yeah, right. I'm down. I like it.
All right, so don't forget, check us out on YouTube, Stitcher, and Podomatic. We're on social media. Share with all your friends. Tell everybody about us. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can donate monetarily on Facebook at the Shop Now tab. We got shirts and stickers. You can send us an email if you need more information about that, or send us an email if you got something you want to hear reviewed. So until next time, see you guys later.
Have a good night.